Hey everyone, this is Shona. From She's Got Assets. I'm just going to do a few back end things and I'm going to go live. I have a really fun topic. I just got back from the awesome midterm rental summit. Super fun, amazing energy, lots of great takeaways. So I'm just going to um, do a few things here. If you're tuning in, welcome. Just bear with me here. I have a couple things to do in the back end and we'll get going. Let's hope this works. Sometimes it's a little finicky. Okay. Post details. Okay, let's go. Okay, I think this might actually work. Oh my gosh, like a small miracle when it does. I think it's working. If anyone's here, let me know. Okay, live video is starting. Go live. Okay. Hey everyone, this is Shona from She's Got Assets, doing the usual little back end magic here. So if you can see me and hear me, let me know. I always appreciate the feedback. It looks like I'm actually live. It's amazing. I'm super excited. It's been a minute since I've had a live stream. I'm just back from the Midterm Rental Summit. So I'm going to dive in and do a little recap of that. It was really amazing. Jesse Vasquez just totally, it was his community is so great. Midterm community was really amazing. So if you guys can you see me and hear me okay? Please let me know. Let me know where you're calling in from. Hey Shannon, thanks for tuning in. Awesome. Yeah, so again, if you're just tuning in, this is Shona from She's Got Assets. I am just back from the Midterm Rental Summit in San Diego. I think it's the third year they've had it. Jesse Vasquez puts it on his team. Just amazing event, lots of great content. Hey Jen, thank you. Hey Sharon, you can't hear me. Okay, that's not good. Can anyone else not hear me? Because that could be a problem. Let me just check my audio here. Settings, audio, AirPods. Can anyone else not hear me? Otherwise, we'll have to like watch the live captions or something. Um, I've got my earbuds set. Just let me know if anyone else, if you can hear me, type a one. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. Um, okay. So I just for anyone joining again, let me know where you're calling in from. Awesome, Heather. Thank you. Where you're calling in from, I'm really excited. I'm going to do a recap of the Midterm Rental Summit that I just got back from that Jesse Vasquez puts on. It's the third year. Like really amazing community, great people. I got to connect with people that I've just kind of know from online, like Bonnie and John Wolf and a bunch of other people. So anyway, awesome. Thank you guys. New Jersey, Jen, thank you. Okay. So really awesome. It's just amazing the power of like networking and being in groups and being active, right? It really does build community. So when you meet people, you feel like you already know them. So I'm excited to share some kind of insights. Hey, Brandon, thanks for tuning in. Share some insights and like takeaways from the conference and just kind of, again, midterms are on the map. So I'm going to dive in and hopefully you guys can see my screen in a second. So I'm just gonna, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to add my screen to the stage and then I'm going to go live. So hold on, I'm going to go into presentation mode. Let's see, 1 second. Present, presenter view. Okay. All right, hopefully you guys this will work. Okay, enter full screen mode. Okay. If you guys can see my screen okay, like let me know. I just have to go back to a different screen to see all the comments. I really should have this on 2 different screens. So hold on. Let me just double check everything here. If you can see my screen, type a 1. I appreciate all the feedback. Looks like you guys can see it. Okay. Katie, hey Shannon. Okay, awesome. Okay, here we go. So again, if you're just tuning in, this is the She's Got Assets live stream. It's typically on Tuesdays at 5 p.m. If the stars align, sometimes we're a little delayed. But basically, I'm just back from the Midterm Rental Summit. It was really amazing conference. I'm a big fan of education and learning and networking and community. So that is definitely, if you guys have a chance to attend, I highly recommend it. Jesse Vasquez is great. He's the one that puts it on. So I'm going to do a little recap. I have a little announcement at the end. I will do Q&A at the end because if I answer it now, I'm going to totally get sidetracked and lose my train of thought. So, okay, this is the recap from the MTR Summit. Again, it was really great to meet people. You can see a couple. I took a lot of photos, but I was leaving quickly, so I didn't put all the photos on here. But anyway, this was in San Diego. It was like a beautiful venue. Of course, I didn't really see much of San Diego because I was like networking and in the conference the whole time. But um, okay, so whoops, we don't need to hear my bio. So, okay, basic MTR trends. Like, I feel like I'm always saying this, it's definitely on the map, right? There's lots of data that supports that. There's like a ton of opportunities. So if anyone's like considering this, like, I just think now is the time. It's not like it's not too late, right? It's just the golden opportunity. There's a ton of B2B opportunity, like business to business, right? I think a lot of times we think of B2C, business to consumer. I'm seeing a big trend in like corporate housing, people relocating and things like that. And that's definitely all about networking, breaking into that relocation. A lot of families, I'm even seeing like a ton of families that are kind of in between things. People are moving to different cities, they're kind of testing it out. There's a big trend in lead matching or reverse arbitrage where you get a lead and you can't place it and you're finding a property for that person. Apparently that comes from corporate housing. I learned that at the event. It was really interesting. That's called lead matching or reverse arbitrage. And then MTR is kind of becoming an asset class, right? It's just like STR. So it's just a great middle ground between, short-term rental churn and long-term headaches, right? The other big thing is just like leverage community, like you guys are in this group, right? It's so important. We can pass each other leads, we can help each other out, build relationships. Another big takeaway, don't just rely on the platforms. Yes, you need to be in all the platforms and they're super important. You get lots of leads from them, but we also need to be building relationships. On that note, like Airbnb is certainly cracking down on getting leads off site as of May 10th. They're implementing some significant changes for stricter off-market policies and enhanced AI monitoring. So that's something to be aware of. And just, keep an ear to the ground, know what's going on in your communities. A lot of oftentimes B2B business, like what companies are coming to town, is there any new construction? So just keep abreast of that, know what's going on. And that's just a much more proactive approach than just listing and waiting for someone to come, but really networking and know like maybe what companies are coming to town or going to any kind of networking stuff. Yeah, so I'm looking at my speaker notes. Okay, so that's a major takeaway there, very high level. And then okay, you guys, I'm not going to bore you with that because I just want to get into the meat of this. So Furnish Finder there was tons of great presentations. I'm just going to focus on a few. I can't cover everything, but some big takeaways that aside from what I just mentioned. From Furnish Finder, they're really generous with sharing their data, and they made it really approachable on just some high level stuff. So these next few slides are kind of screenshots from Furnish Finder. That's what I'm going to kind of focus on, just kind of high level. I thought that was the most actionable. So in general, there's a trend of, I think we all call it midterm rentals, but going to monthly rentals. And that's important for like search engine, for SEO, right? If you have a website or you're putting in your listing, so, we always say like extended stay monthly, but monthly rentals are seeing a surge in that. So definitely put that in your marketing hat and just kind of, and when you're doing your listing. So monthly rentals are kind of replacing midterm rentals as far as a search goes. So that was interesting. And then like who's booking, right? I think this is a lot of people always think it's travel nurses. It's not travel nurses. There's still, I think that's always going to be a solid piece of it. But health, you can see by this diagram, and this is just from Furnish Finder, right? But they have a ton of data. So this is what they were presenting late April 2025. So according to this, like 25% healthcare of who's booking, relocation is 20%, academia, other, and business and digital nomads are like the biggest lion's share of it. So just know who you're marketing to when you're putting your listing together. when I see business and digital nomads, it just really emphasizes we want to focus on, having a dedicated workspace, high speed internet, things like that. Pretty simple things to do. We probably all do that, but make sure that you're really focusing on that just because these data trends here, right? So that was interesting. Who's booking? And then another trend that Furnish Finder is seeing, right? The huge uptick in pets, right? More tenants are bringing, I like to call them guests, they're saying tenants here, a 32% increase in bookings with pets, right? And that's 18% year over year compared to last year. So really, really important to be pet friendly. I know I've talked about this, but it is super important when they're part of your family, especially for displaced families and insurance claims, even traveling medical professionals, digital nomads like that, the people I just talked about before. So be pet friendly. I've talked about this a lot. There's ways to protect yourself with pet rent and pet fees and things like that, but it's just super important. So the data is really showing that. Also, if you just, go on to Furnish Finder or Airbnb and just, do a search and then like narrow it down in the filters and uncheck and check pets, you'll see that there's so few when it just takes the options down. So you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table if you're not pet friendly. So I thought that was interesting. That was from Furnish Finder. Okay, most in-demand markets. All right. Clearly, the West Coast is very popular, right? I was very excited to see. I'm based in Portland, Oregon, so there's a lot of demand on the West Coast, like kind of Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. These are also expensive markets, right? I think there is always opportunity in our backyard. I always hear people asking, should I go out of state? I personally think there is opportunity, especially with creative financing if you do the right kind of marketing. So I'm in Portland. It was just really great to see. So this is what Furnish Finder is showing as the most in demand markets. Again, then Denver, Austin, Chicago, Boston, New York, right? So these are according to Furnish Finder, these are the top 10 markets, which is interesting. And Portland was definitely on the map last year as well. So West Coast, right, which is also the most expensive, that we have the highest rents and the great appreciation, right? So just food for thought there. And then top cities where demand is outpacing supply. So on the top of that list, Silicon Valley, Chicago, Seattle, Boston, and San Francisco. So again, a lot of West Coast places too. So that demand is outpacing supply. And then that was kind of very high level. I don't have time to get into all the details. I'll probably do a deeper dive with my students on our coaching call. But just a quick shout out to Mini Stays. It was really great to meet John. He has a midterm rental booking site, so definitely get on there. He was there. It was really great to meet him. He's really doing innovative things. They're growing super fast. Great place to get leads. And then this other one I wanted to shout out, it's called Up Close Marketing. And they had this really innovative product where you can register with them and the companies actually send them products so you can feature them in your midterm rental, or if you're doing the hybrid like short-term rentals. I thought that was super cool. It's kind of a cool guest experience, and they have like constant promotions. So I haven't used it yet, but I just thought that was really cool. It was one of the vendors at the event, so I wanted to give them a shout out. And then just quickly, if anyone is kind of intrigued by this, is curious about midterms, I'm doing a free masterclass this Friday. You can scan that QR code. I will put the link to register in the chat. So be sure to do that. It's totally free. Going to be covering a ton of really valuable content. So that's kind of my high level takeaways. From the MTR summit and just in general, like this is such a great community, tons of sharing. I think there's so much collaboration that can happen. We can pass leads to each other. We can help each other out. So if you have a chance to go, I highly recommend it. But I think we're all, part of a community and very supportive. So those are my high level takeaways. I hope you guys found that valuable. I'm going to pop the link into the chat for registering for that masterclass, and then I will do some Q&A if you guys have questions. I'm just going to get that link really fast, and then I'll pop over and do Q&A. If I can find it, actually. Okay, let's see. I'm going to copy this. 1 second. Let me just copy that link. Well, or maybe not. Let me stop sharing my screen because I think it's preventing me from doing this. Okay. All right, I'm going to remove this. Okay. All right, and I will do Q&A as soon as I get that link. I'm going to put that in there. Okay. Had it handy. Okay, here we go. or not. I have too many windows open. I had everything like queued up. I promise I'll get to Q&A in a second. I think I had on a sticky note or not. Okay, let me try this a different way. Um, add that link. I was just doing it before I did this call, so let me just find it really fast, and then I'll do if there's any questions. I have a few more minutes, so I'm happy to answer any questions. And I'm curious if anyone is in those markets. That's the top 10 market because that was pretty exciting. Okay. All right, here is the link. I'm going to pop it over in Facebook, and then I'll do Q&A. Yeah, another window. Okay. Who can relate to having too many windows open? I feel like I'll forget something if I close the window out. So, um, okay. Let me go back to Facebook. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna put register and then I will get to Q&A. 1 second. There's like a delay on here for the master class on Friday. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna do some Q&A. All right, thanks for your patience, everyone. Okay. April, you're so welcome. Alexander, which property has the highest demand single families? Alexander's asking which property has the highest demand, single family, small apartment, condo. So Furnish Finder was showing demand for smaller units. It really depends on your strategy. All units work. I like the single family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath because it's the most diverse. We can get like corporate housing, we can get displaced families. So if I were to choose, I would go with single family, right? It just depends on your strategy or if you have a property, but to me, that is the most versatile. I don't love condos because I typically have HOAs, so personally, I'm not a big fan of that. But most property types work. It just your audience will be different, or your guest avatar will be different depending on what kind of property. Jennifer's asking, how can I utilize property when not booked to reduce taxes? I'm not sure, like reduce taxes. You can do this might be helpful. You can, if you are in a place where you can have, you can fill in your gaps with short term. There's a lot of tax benefits to that, to short term. So that could be an option, just filling in your gaps in between midterm stays. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what I would say to that question. If I didn't get that right, just let me know. I'm gonna see if there's any more comments here. Hold on, I can't view all the comments. See. Doesn't if I miss any comments, just repost them because when I'm doing this live for whatever reason, it doesn't let me see previous comments. It's kind of persnickety. So if you guys have any other comments I didn't see because it just won't let me view them for whatever reason. I don't know why it's doing that. Let me try a different window. But any other questions? And thank you guys for tuning in. I see a few people on. If you have questions, let me know because I can't go back in the history for some reason when I'm on live. Let me try this a different way. I know sometimes you forget questions. Okay, I'm gonna try this a different way. Probably should have a separate device or something. It's really, I don't know why it won't let me look at comments. Okay. And definitely register for that masterclass. We're going to cover a lot of things. 28 comments. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I see a couple questions. I don't know. I'll repost them. Thank you. Shannon's asking, what is the percentage of insurance relocation bookings? For me, it's probably about 50%. But again, we don't want to just optimize for one guest avatar because it's hard to predict when a family is going to have a need, right? So we want to optimize that, but we don't want to rely solely on insurance bookings. But I think it depends on how you market and how you're optimizing. But it's hard to say because I don't really share that data publicly, but it's a really good question. I know personally, I have a couple midterm bookings. I'm definitely seeing a trend. I'm seeing a big trend in Portland, Oregon, specifically of families that have sold a property and they're looking to kind of buy their next property. So they're kind of in between. So they're looking for a place to land. I think I have 2 to 3 bookings right now that are that kind of guest. David, any midterm needs in Bend, Redmond, Oregon? I don't know specifically. I would say you can go to Furnish Finder. Here's a tip. I'll put this in the chat. This is like a really quick way to check. I would say go to Furnish Finder or Price Labs has a really good market tool. You can try that. But if you go to Furnish Finder slash stats, it will show you, and that's just one site, right? I'm gonna put this in the chat. So I've got like double bookings. Okay, I think I'm still live. I just accidentally opened, but Furnish Finder slash stats is a great way, just really high level, or um, Furnish Finder slash stats, or there's a couple other places. I'll put them in the chat, but there you can do like some market research. I don't know specifically because I'm not in all areas. Okay. Tatiana did thank you for doing the sneak peeks and NMS sub 10. Yeah, it was really awesome. It's just such great networking and really great community. And that's why I love this, right? It's not competitive, it's all about collaborating. Richard's asking to say why Portland is getting more. I don't know. It seems to me the West Coast, I think it's probably just it's West Coast is popular in general for people to move, right? They're just desirable areas like San Francisco, Portland, San Francisco. I think in general, they're just popular places. So, and I think there's just a lot of industry here, right? So I would say that's my best guess as to why it's on there. That's what their data is showing. Jennifer's asking, not really getting bites on the rental on Furnish Finder, Zillow, and a few more price, right? The wondering what else I can do to promote your listings. Yeah, Jennifer, it's a good question. I mean, there's different variables. I don't, sometimes it's like photos or the way you're optimized your listing or price. I would definitely look at your photos, look at your copy, how are you describing it, kind of make sure that your price is on point, right? And we're definitely doing, you know, you can try different prices on different platforms. I'd say Furnish Finder is kind of your lowest price point, and then Airbnb. I don't see Airbnb. I definitely would be on Airbnb. If you're not there, you may be on there. So it's kind of hard to say without seeing it. So feel free to post it and I can take a look. But there's lots of different things you can do to tweak it. Sometimes it's a matter of just better pictures and optimizing your headline, right? Like putting things in like extended stay and pet friendly, little things like that can make a big difference. Jennifer, you're calling it from Houston. Awesome. Oh yeah, okay. You said you're implemented the suggestions. Yeah, I don't what I would say message me and I'll take a look at it and see if I can see anything obvious. I mean, to me it's just marketing, and make sure you go through that whole marketing list that's in there. And sometimes it takes a minute. I would say just have faith because they do come in very last minute, and sometimes, I'll be like no leads and then all of a sudden I'll get a bunch of them. So, just shoot me a message and I'll take a look at it and see if I can give you any tips. Um, any other questions? Let's see. I'm probably missing some because I can't see the history. But yeah, again, do you guys have, or if you're watching the replay, feel free to post in the chat if you have any questions about kind of what I shared from the summit. But I would definitely say if you guys have a chance, it's really great. Definitely go next year. Or I kind of shared the highlights, but there were tons of great speakers. I think the other kind of big takeaway was creative financing, and now is the right time to buy. Like there's a lot of opportunity, right? Especially with creative financing. So I think we're all scared of the interest rates, but there's definitely a lot of demand. So find ways to buy creatively. That was another kind of big takeaway. Pace Morby was there. So let's see. I was going to put something in the chat here. I forgot what I did. Okay. Any other questions? Happy to answer anything. Again, if I missed your question, just put it in the chat because I just cannot see the history for whatever reason. But yeah, I think there's a huge community behind midterms and it's very collaborative and everyone's really excited about it. And there's just lots of opportunity, right? Either owning a rental or co-hosting. Funny, I just got a Furnish Finder direct message. Forgot to turn off my notifications. But yeah, and I think Furnish Finder, everyone has mixed feelings about it. I do get a ton of leads from there. I mean, it's not the same across markets, but it's definitely one of the places to be. Definitely be on mini stays, lots of other places. Richard, did the owner of Furnish Finder say or talk about any adjustments that he was going to make to the Furnish Finder to website optimize bookings? Yes, they are making improvements. I'm trying to think high level. I think he mentioned they're making a lot of changes to the calendar. I think one of the complaints is that people aren't getting responses. So you can now, I'm pretty sure you can kind of sync your calendar. You can sync it with VRBO or Airbnb. So if you're booked there, it'll automatically update your calendar. I think they're putting more of a focus on reviews, which I don't love, but that definitely came up. I don't remember the other updates, but I think they are slowly trying to improve the experience. And I think they have more kind of data and views of kind of how many hits your listing is getting. I think that's a new thing too. That was kind of high level. I didn't share that, but that's what I remember from his talk. Um, yeah, Furnish Finder. I mean, I think we all don't like it because the other thing, I'm glad you asked that. The other thing that they did say was, you can get direct messages and kind of general booking inquiries. It sounds like they're leaning more towards booking inquiries versus DMs. I don't quite know why. I prefer the direct messages, but it sounds like they're kind of gearing guests towards that. And I think they are making some. No, they didn't mention any crazy UX updates, but I think that's a big pain point for everyone. But it sounds like they're working on it. So yeah, I mean, I know the interface isn't great, but I mean, what really matters is the leads, right? And they're not charging you for you're paying the one-time fee, and where one lead kind of pays for itself. So Jen is asking, can you repeat the live streams and other webinars? I thought they were Thursdays. Okay, Jen. So if you're a student, there's a weekly coaching call at like 3 p.m. Eastern if you're a coaching student, right? And then these are kind of just general trainings, are not super in depth, but I just like to do a live stream with some kind of free training, but nothing is in depth. For like the coaching students is a different schedule. Then message me with any questions. Jen's asking, do you need a channel manager to sync your Furnish Finder or Airbnb? No, you don't. You just basically, when you go to Airbnb, they'll have like, I forgot how to do it, but you just Google it. There is definitely a way. You just get like a specific URL and you plug that into Furnish Finder and they'll just sync with each other. Although I personally like to leave my calendars kind of open. That way I can see what demand is coming in. And if I'm booked and I get a lead, I will go out to my network and try and help that person out. And so I actually kind of like having an open calendar intentionally because I can check demand and I can typically go out to my network and see if I can find them somewhere else if I'm not available. So I kind of intentionally like to have a few things open just to check demand and get leads that way, especially for insurance, right? You can do what's called lead matching. If you have a lead, you can go out to someone else and, either kind of, get a lease for that. If it's 3 months, get a lease for 3 months and put them in there, or get like a referral fee or something. So that is a kind of a different strategy. But good question. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, and Richard, if you call in on the coaching call, I can share some more slides from the specific upgrades to Furnish Finder. It was nothing earth shattering. It was just like they were definitely working on it. I think they know there's a lot of bones about their interface. I know when I first found it a couple years ago, I was like, I don't know if this thing is actually for real because it's so hokey. But yeah, any other questions? I see a few more people. Or hopefully some of that was helpful, the key takeaways. And again, I do have a free masterclass coming up on Friday. Melanie's saying Furnish Finder does seem a bit antiquated compared to Airbnb. I did sync with my Airbnb calendar with Furnish Finder. Yes, it is. Here's the thing. It is a bit antiquated. I 100% agree. But what I love about Furnish Finder is it's a direct booking. We are controlling that booking, right? We're not paying all those Furnish Finder fees. We can do like very thorough screening and all of that stuff. Airbnb, there's software that will do that for you, but it's an add-on. And so I really like having that direct relationship. And that's why I like Furnish Finder. Oh, yes, it is a little more work, but we can really properly vet guests and do proper leases, which protects us, right? So we're not relying on Airbnb to protect us. So, um, yeah, definitely book a call, Richard. Shannon's saying, do you trying to lead match, and if they won't just get a referral fee, have lots of questions? Yeah, so it's interesting. I did a there's a I feel like MTRs are getting more into the corporate housing, and I talked to someone and she was saying a lead matching is very much a corporate housing thing. So they'll get a lead and they'll match it. So you can do that, or you can just get a referral fee. It really depends. I mean, I think lead matching and actually getting the lease and master lease and subleases, it's more work. It could potentially be more profitable, right? If you're marking it up, right? So there's just nuance to it. I think it depends on what your strategy is, but yeah. Jen's asking, what is lead matching? So lead matching is it's like it's a classic. It comes from the corporate housing industry. They get a corporate lead and they need to put them somewhere. So they will go and get a lease for, like, say it's 3 months. They'll get a lease for 3 months and they won't go longer. They'll put that family in there, right? That guest in there, and once that guest moves out, the lease is done. It's also called a reverse arbitrage, or you get a lead and say you can't fill it, so you get an insurance lead, and they're looking for like maybe a 3 to 6 month lease, and your property's full. You can go out to your network or go out to like Zillow and look for rentals for by owner and see if they'd be willing to do a shorter lease, maybe pay them a little more. But you're just matching that lead to a lease as far as the months go in terms. That makes sense. There's lots of ways to make money in this business. I like it because you're helping a family out, and also it's relationship based, right? So if you get a temporary housing person coming to you, you're like helping them out as well as the family. It's definitely a little bit of work to find a landlord that they're willing to do less than a year lease, right? Eleni saying agreed, receiving a higher monthly fee via Airbnb than furnished with paying more fees. Yeah, more fees. And the other thing, Melanie, is that I like being able to have a proper lease and do screening, right? With Airbnb, unless you have a software that's integrated, you're really checking on past reviews and things like that. And so you just have a little more control. And you can also collect a deposit if it's a direct booking. So pros and cons, right? It's a little more work, but I think you're more protected. So yeah, lots of good questions. um, yeah, any other questions? I have a few more minutes. Great questions tonight, though. But yeah, it's definitely the industry. I think things are always changing, right? But definitely corporate housing is definitely getting into the midterm mix, and that's something they do, that lead matching thing. So, but definitely, network, know what's going on in your community, just to kind of get more corporate leads that way. And I'll put the link in one more time for this masterclass coming if anyone wants to join for that. Okay. Last call for questions. I see a few more people on, or let me know what your takeaways were. It's always nice to hear. um, Hopefully these are helpful. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Again, yeah, if you're watching the replay, feel free to post questions. But I was just, if you're just jumping on now too, this is a recap of the Midterm Rental Summit, which was amazing. Lots of great speakers. Again, I think any chance you get of a chance to go to a summit or just network, it's really great to be around. It's kind of like your tribe, right? Get to know other people, see what the trends are. So yeah, it's an exciting time for midterms. I think definitely they're on the map, like officially. They weren't already, right? So awesome. All right, I don't see any other questions. I'm gonna wrap up unless last call for questions. But thanks for tuning in, everyone. Again, these live streams are typically on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. I try and pick a topic. So if you guys have a certain topic you want me to talk about, I do kind of a light training. And if you're interested in coaching or more hand holding, then for sure reach out and chat with me about coaching again, or you can learn more in the masterclass. Melanie, you're not sure how to pursue corporate housing. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It's very much relationship based, right? So a couple high level ideas are, going, if you see like new development coming in, asking where are they housing their people, right? Are there contractors coming in? That's one way to do it. Reaching out to local relocation agencies, just introducing yourself, saying you have properties. It's very much about networking, right? So those are some kind of high level tips, or even going to like local meetups, like Chamber of Commerce, like what industry is coming to town. That's like corporate is just like B2B, right? It's like people needing housing or people relocating, right? So I think it's more relationship based. There are some sites you can list on, but it's more relationships and knowing kind of what's going on in your community where there's a demand for housing. So Yeah, or, the other strategy is even going if you know there's a Walmart coming to town, right? Go on LinkedIn and figure out who the HR person is or try and network that way, right? Until you have housing if they ever need it, right? That's another way. I think LinkedIn is a really great resource for building those relationships. I'm doing that kind of outreach. So I hope that helped. Um, awesome. Any other questions? I don't see any other questions. All right. Um, I'm gonna sign off, but again, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to sign up for that the masterclass I'm doing. And if you're watching the replay or want help coaching, just drop me a note and I will reach out. But thank you guys for tuning in on a Tuesday. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon. All right, thanks. Okay. I think I'm still live. I'm trying to figure out where my StreamYard is. Okay, if anyone's still watching, sorry for the awkward last thing. Okay.